Director of Golf, and I'm here with Kyle Bibler, our Superintendent, and we are trying to hit all different ways of contacting you through our emails and also through video, give you some content here about what's going on the golf course. So Kyle, great to be with you.
You too.
Most recently, we have had dry jetting.
Correct.
Explain to me what that essentially means. It's different than a core aeration, correct?
It is. Core aerification, we're actually pulling part of the soil profile out, replacing it with sand. The dry jet aerification, it's 3,000 psi of water being jetted down in to fracture the soil below. It will pull, it creates a vacuum effect that will pull sand out of the hopper, dry sand, mixes with the water, goes into the hole, and that creates a lot bigger cavity than we would with a core aerification. We're getting twice as much sand down in there, and although it has disruption to the surface, those holes will heal twice as quick as a normal aerification will. And the reason we had so much sand up on top with this one, like I said, it's a dry sand that goes in and it mixes with that water, and when it does, it almost becomes like a paste.
Okay.
And so we tried dragging on Wednesday, and basically all we did was smear it.
Okay.
And it made it look worse. We're hoping to be able to blow it then. Once we put a cut on it Thursday, it was still too wet. Fortunately, we had a lot of wind Friday night, and the humidity was down in the 30%, which helped us dry out, and it blew off very easily the next day. Hoping when we do the one in June that with the lower temperatures then that sand will dry yet that day and we can get the excess off. But it's just a great tool to keep our soil profile pure. We renovated that profile, and we're trying to keep the organic matter pushed through the root zone layer.
It's healthy for the plant.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So conditions or Mother Nature plays a part in your intentions with trying to get things done.
Absolutely.
And in that case, like you had said, it was moist and it makes it more of a paste. So it affects how the timing of what you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, if we would have had a really warm day, I mean, it was nice and sunny on Wednesday, but it still wasn't a lot of heat to dry that up, and it put a lot of water into the green to be able to do this application. In the videos that I sent you, you can see there's a lot of water still on the surface, and it just turns it into a mess, really. Had we had the better weather, yeah, we would have been able to get that cleaned up a little quicker.
But it's necessary for the healthiness of the green.
Absolutely. Well, we can get two of these in and a core aerification, so it's actually one more aerification than we typically would do, but only shutting down once to the golfers, letting them still play after we do this. Conditions aren't the greatest. We're still trying to give you the golf course
It's
and
not
availability.
It's not the same as closing for like a week for a whole aeration.
Correct.
Yep.
Yes.
It takes you one day to just do the greens.
Yep. We contract a company out, and they come in with 3 of these machines, actually 4. They have a backup in case one goes down. And it'll take about an hour of green to do with our size. So they're here majority of the day doing this and whatnot. And then we're putting 3 guys with each machine that has to constantly fill the hopper with 5-gallon buckets of sand. It's just a process back and forth that we do. But super happy with the results. And I think the overall health of these greens will continue to thrive by doing this process.
So explain to me why we're sodding certain areas. Like what sort of has the occurrence, Mother Nature for us in the south, it
Sure.
wasn't a typical winter.
No.
And so that has impacted some of the grass because we're even slow to growing right now.
Absolutely.
And then explain like why we have sodding going on.
Sure.
And you still have one more hole, correct?
So, yeah, 14. We still have 14. That's the big area that we got to do. So, yeah, we had some areas last year, 7 and 8, that were those holes were sprigged late in the fall. I say late in the summer, middle August, and we had a lot of shade issues on 7, a little bit on 8. We just couldn't get it to getting where we need it to be. So we had sod some areas there this spring that we weren't happy with going into the winter. But with a cool, wet, cloudy winter, I mean, it was a much wetter winter than we typically see here, and much more cloud cover. Some of our heavier soils, for instance, on 14 and 1, those areas stayed just saturated all year. Couldn't get them dried out. You know, they get about dried out and get another rain. Well, the grass was dormant. Typically, year I'm not fertilizing late into the year. This year was different. With the grow in, I had to fertilize up pretty much to the last frost. That's a bad combination if you have a winter like we had. Unfortunately, grass was dormant. We couldn't see what was going on down underneath, and when we started greening up this spring, we realized that we'd had some disease pop in there, and we ended up spraying it, and it's taking its toll on some of these holes. So we're out there sodding, trying to get these areas back. We've got the disease under control now.
And the disease doesn't last, correct?
No.
The temperatures.
Correct. That disease thrives on the cool, wet weather. Then you throw in the fertilizer, and that's just adding a little bit of fuel to that fire. Like I say, typical year that won't happen. Obviously, we're going to be a little cautious next year, and we'll go out and spot spray those areas preventatively for that disease.
Yes. So just to be clear, the areas that had some of that contamination, that were the areas that have been sprayed out, and then you resodded.
We've resodded, yes. And some of the early sod we got came in, and it looked like it was dead. Sod farm had called me. I was getting an order on Tuesday. He called me on Monday and said, "Hey, we got a pretty heavy frost that weekend at the farm." Their farm's about 50 miles inland from Hilton Head, so they got a little cooler than we did here. We had a light frost that weekend also, but nothing that did too much damage. But it put their grass back into dormancy. So it's going to be a little bit slower for it to come out. And this spring, we've had some nice weather. It's just not warmed up to where we need this grass to start moving.
Yeah.
It's turned green, but it's just sitting there.
Yeah, it's not. This grass thrives on warm temperatures.
Heat,
yeah,
absolutely.
So the sod in some areas will look a different color compared to the fairway coming in because of that frost
Absolutely.
that it was hit on it.
And so the sod we've gotten this past week is actually greener than the sod we got in a couple weeks ago. And the reason for that is that sod, like I said, got hit with a frost, which shocked its system, and then they went in and cut all its roots off. It was almost a double whammy to the sod. It's going to be fine. It just got set back a little bit more than the rest of it did.
And then the sod knits together over time and blends with the fairway.
It will.
And we don't want you to hit any shots off the sodded areas, please. We want you to continue to play winter rules. 1 club length, lift, clean, and place your golf ball no closer to the hole. But some of those areas, if you're into the sod, it's going to be probably more than 1 club length. Just move yourself out and try to stay in the conditions as best that you can. Tell me also the bridge project with adding concrete. Where are we at with that?
So they were able to get 16 bridge done on Wednesday. We were hoping to complete them all. Had some issues with the concrete, settled a little too long, so they weren't able to use it. And by that time, we were at the end of the day and they could get another load. So we've got it scheduled for next the 28th. That was the first available date they had and the first available date we had. We'll get all these areas buttoned up and get back to normal.
Sure. And then on certain Wednesdays, you do top dressing on the greens, and you've done that historically throughout the history of the club.
Absolutely. Yeah. The Tiff Eagle Ultra Dwarf is it likes, for better terms, likes to eat the sand. I mean, when it's growing, we can put sand out on a Wednesday, and for the most part, it's going to be pretty much disappeared by Thursday morning. This time of year, when it's not actively growing, you may see it for a day or two. Really shouldn't affect ball roll. Sand on the surface of the green without any aerification actually is going to make that green a little faster. But yeah, it's something that we have to do maintenance-wise every Wednesday. We just put a light top dressing out, do a little brushing, a little water, and make it disappear. And that's what's giving us that good surface that we get a consistent ball roll on too.
Yes, and the dry ejecting makes the greens firm and fast.
It will.
Yeah.
It'll firm them back up, but you know, we want to keep that profile as pure as we can, and this is really one of the best
Great,
ways to do it.
that. Sure, sure. Well, thank you for your time, members. We're gonna keep you updated regularly with the course conditions, things as they're changing out there, or anything that would